Hello, welcome to The Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Now, if you're a fan of being a spooky ghost, then you're going to be really excited about the update for the Nighthorn army, which has just been released on the Warhammer community site. If you haven't been keeping track, Games Workshop have been releasing a bunch of additional rules, not rules updates, additional rules and free content on the community site for each faction, leading up to the launch of the General's Handbook in the summer, which obviously I'll be covering every element of. So please do like, subscribe, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, the one we're covering today, obviously, is Nighthorn. Nighthorn have got their new rules, which is very fun. Nighthorn have had a crazy journey in Age of Sigmar 4 already, starting out the gates with Age of Sigmar 4 being way, way too strong, crazy, crazy good, then getting double, even quadruple nerfed at different times, which is very, very impressive, but still doing kind of okay. And also, we know the new Nighthaunt book is coming out. In fact, actually, these rules even reference stuff that we don't even know yet, which is very, very fun. Okay, so available on the community site is this PDF, and I'm going to take you through all elements of it. First thing, and excitingly, if you are a Nighthaunt fan, you have 2 new battle formations to play with in your army. Now, the first one, the Hungry Nexus, references your new terrain piece, which is the current Soulblight Gravelords piece that you build inside out. Obviously, with the new Battle Tome coming up, your terrain feature is going to be something that's going to be released at the same time, but I'm sure they're going to release those rules sometime soon, along with, not with the book, or maybe the book is also going to be very soon as well. Either way, the battle formation relates to that terrain feature, which once per turn, at the end of an enemy turn, you can use the Greedy for Souls ability, where you pick a friendly Nexus of Grief, which is your Nighthaunt terrain feature, and for the rest of the turn, the target has a move characteristic of 3 inches. It can immediately move up to 3 inches and can move into combat, but cannot end that move on a terrain feature or within 3 inches of an objective. Now, we know that it does heals, and it also does mortal damage to stuff in range, and also turns off commands. It doesn't do much, but it definitely turns off commands. But the bit that I like about this, especially if you have watched my battle tactics video, if you're playing against someone who is using the Scout battle tactic card, they might get near your piece of terrain, they try to grab it, and then for some reason you've prepared for this incredibly specific situation and you move your Nexus of Grief away. Now, when we get like the full rules for the Nexus of Grief, we might be able to see just how impactful being able to move it 3 inches is, but it could be very good if your terrain feature is very fun. Your terrain feature moving around the board, though, does open up options for it being killed or for them doing battle tactics to it. So super interesting there. Now, the next one, the Death Rust Geists, is once per turn army in the enemy hero phase. You can use the Blades of the Eternal Rust. Pick an enemy unit that is in combat with a friendly Nighthaunt unit to be the target, and you subtract 1 from save roll to the target for the rest of the turn. One of the key strengths of the Nighthaunt army early in the edition was their ability to do something called an alpha pin, which is run a ton of hex race up the board. You couldn't kill them all enough or fast enough, and they could score more points than you. But also, they could just do a ton of damage with lots of retreating and charging, running and charging. Now, anything that can get locked into an ongoing combat with Nighthaunt, a good example would be because, well, a good reason that you would also do that is because they have unrenderable saves because of that ethereal save. So now making it so you're in that ongoing combat and then something else charges in and does big damage, that's pretty cool. So I can see that being better in application than it does read on paper. So I think that's very fun, very, very cool. Those are your 2 battle formations. I'd be pumped if I was a Nighthorn player, but that's not the only juice that's in this, because you got some incredible new alternative war scrolls for units. So let's dive straight in. Next up, you've got 3 new relics. If you're new to Age of Sigmar, the way relics work is you can, on your army list, give one of your heroes that is not a unique hero a relic. It's called an enhancement, and you get 1 enhancement free from each section of available enhancements for your army. So these 3 new relics, the Relics of Dolorum, the first one, the Stave of Suffering, grants you a passive. While this unit is within 12 inches of any damaged enemy units, or enemy units that have had any model slain, you can add 1 to the casting roll for friendly Nighthorn units while they're wholly within 12 inches of this unit. Do you generally tend to take a lot of casts? Not a lot. And +1 to cast is okay. Are you going to take an artifact for just +1 to cast sometimes on units in range? I'm going to say that's not for me. I think that's okay. And actually, reliable casting is something a lot of people really value. So it might end up being a really high pick rate but it's not something I'm overly keen in myself. Now, the Tombstone of the Penitent, on the other hand, is something I am very keen on. This grants you a passive where you add one to the attacks characteristic of this unit's melee weapons for each non-faction terrain feature that is being contested by friendly units to a maximum of 8. Now, that's super exciting because you've got the Lord Executioner here, 5 attacks base plus 8 attacks. That means that's going to be 13 attacks, 3s and 3s, Ren 2, damage 2. Very, very cool. Are you likely to ever get up to +8? No, you really are not. But it's still a fun idea. And I think that's kind of the main point of what we should be looking at from these updates. It's a fun additional thing. Build the Choppy Executioner is very cool. The last one, and obviously that would also key in quite nicely the Tombstone of the Penitent with that single battle tactic. In fact, actually, just seeing that one battle tactic card the other day, which I covered in the other video, has really opened up how effective or how many ways there might be to utilize some of these new abilities. So I can't wait to see the rest of the battle tactics, make loads of videos about them, because there's so much you're going to be able to open up for each individual army in the new kind of like meta, scoring objectives, doing battle tactics. Very fun. So that's cool to see. Last one, the Amulet of Waking Nightmares in your hero phase lets you pick a visible enemy hero within 18 inches of this unit to be the target. You roll dice on a 3+. For the rest of the turn, the target can be affected by guarded hero ability or the obscuring terrain ability, which means you could take a lot of your shooting units and shoot them. Now, your shooting units are a tad lackluster. You do have the Craven Throne Guard as well as the Pyregeists, both of which aren't really brilliant at punking heroes. This is also situational because it's also only on a 3+. So I can't see either of those being like very good. The range is good, but it's you also have to dice roll. You dice roll for a very small additional effect for some of the weaker parts of your army. So I'm going to say none of these, at least that one isn't for me. I obviously love the Tombstone of the Penitent. Let me know in the comments below which is your favorite. Let's go and look at the units. Next up, we're looking at our alternative War Scrolls. Now, if you don't know and you haven't been keeping track, War Scrolls, or these alternative Ghyran-based War Scrolls, are, in addition to the War Scrolls that you'll find it maybe in an upcoming battle tome or in a battle tome you have, or in the index in Nighthaunt's case that got released during the start of Age of Sigmar 4. This means that you can have one or the other type of War Scroll in your army list. So either the normal Black Coach or Kurdoss Valentian, or you can have the Ghyran version. And obviously you could have a Ghyran Valentian and a normal Black Coach. So you can mix and match, but you can't have 2 Black Coaches, one who's from Ghyran and one that's from the book. I hope that's very clear. Anyway, these also comes with different points costs, and I'm hoping the app will update, but of course, there is other ways to get rules, other ways that I encourage you actively to use that don't cost you money. Right, okay, so Kurdoss Valentian, the Craven King. It's got 7 health, a 4-up save, moves 8 inches, and it's got a control value of 5, which I think is super valuable. It's got a 6-up ward save, so a pretty okay frontline fighter. Not super, super good. It's not going to be fighting 10 Chosen, but is going to be fighting a bunch of stuff. Now, he's got 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, Ren 2, damage 3, with crit auto wound. Isn't a bad profile, but the profile can get even better thanks to Inescapable Mockery, which is a passive where you add one to the hit rolls and wound rolls of this unit's combat attacks that target an enemy unit that has a lower control characteristic than this unit. So that's going to be 5 attacks, 2s, 2s. Ren 2 is the big important thing here. If we go look at that battle formation that we talked about earlier, if he's charging into a unit that's been in ongoing combat with one of our Nighthaunt units, then they're going to be an additional +1 rend. Like, you might need a countercharge to get him in for that stipulation to work, but Ren 3 is super nice. If there's a Purple Sun knocking around and Purple Sun stays the same in the new GHB, that could be Ren 4 or just Ren 3 anyway, but Ren 2 is great. We love that energy, and 2s and 2s is really good. Now, his other ability is probably what's going to really make a lot of people excited to use him. He's got an ability called a Traitor's Legacy, which is usable in any combat phase. If this unit is in combat, you pick a visible friendly Nighthorn unit wholly within 12 inches of this target to be the unit. Pick one of the following to apply for the rest of the turn. The target's melee weapons have anti-hero +1 rend, and then So yeah, have +1. Sorry, a +1 rend, anti-hero +1 rend. Then you have usurpation and larceny. Sorry, I can't. I tried to read the next line. I was like, I cannot read that. Add 5 to the target's control score, or enemy units cannot use commands while they're in combat with a target, thanks to sedition and betrayal. So you can either get +1 rend against heroes. We like that. Add 5 to control score. That's a whatever burger. Or they cannot use commands, which is going to be the important one, which means they also can't all-out defense. Which is super interesting. Can't all-out attack, a bunch of other command abilities, very strong. Now, obviously, this is important. They've said they're going to change how commands work. I'll cover that in a later video. The article has not gone up yet. No power through is another good example of one that's that will be really effective. But you don't roll a dice. This is key to this. You do not roll a dice to make this happen. This is just an ability that will happen. So a pretty fighty profile with a great ability to control your enemy units or enemy units that you fight. I think Kurdoss is looking very nice. He's 190 points. Definitely can see him play. Very cool. Next up, and if you have not been online in the past day, because I'm recording this the day after it came out, the Black Coach has got everyone so excited. Me too as well, because I'm a huge Black Coach fan. I think the model is stunning, and it's always kind of been mid to rubbish as a unit. So why has it got so good? Well, it's got 12 health with a 4-up save, but don't forget you're fighting Nighthorn or you're playing with Nighthorn, so it's an ethereal save, so it's actually super good. 6-up ward save, moves 10 inches, control value of 5. Big thing to shout out is that it has a 3d6 charge down here, spectral carriage, so you can roll 3 dice. Now, you can also get run and charge for this army and a bunch of other movement shenanigans, meaning you can very likely get early charges. Charge into your opponent, pin them in, difficult to get out of range of them, with counter charges and other stuff. Very effective. And then they're very difficult to get rid of because they've got that unrendable save. On the charge, though, they also do a ton of damage with 5 attacks, 3s, rend 2, damage 2, but they've also got charge +1 damage, which is nice. So 5 attacks, damage 3. And then the Black Coach's wheels is 8 attacks, does hit on 4s, so it's a little bit not as good, with crit auto wound, wounds on a 3, and again is rend 2. Rend 2 better than almost, and it's behind my head right now, it's just there. Rend 2 better than almost every hero in the game. So super good, okay? Very good combat profile, very fast and survivable, exactly what you want. It's gone up 40 points from 240 to 280, but I think a lot of people will be very jealous of this. And also makes reliable charges, but that's not all it does. Once per turn for the army, so if you do take 2 of them, you're going to be able to use it once. Any hero phase, which means every hero phase, which is cool, you can use Spectral Attendance. You pick one of the following to apply for the rest of the turn. No dice roll again. Love it. The unit's melee weapons, including companion weapons, have crit mortals instead of crit auto wound. That does mean potentially 5 attacks with crit mortals on them, damage 3 on the charge. Pretty nice. You could use the Unholy Grail. You pick up for any Nighthorn unit holier than 12 of this unit. Each time that unit uses a rally command, you receive 3 additional rally points. This is very good, especially as there's a sub-faction that you can take with a Black Coach, where infantry around a Black Coach get a 5-up ward save versus their normal 6-up ward save. So now, if you do end up in a position where some of those have died and you can rally and have an additional 3 rally points, that's really good on your very tough to deal with individual model units, like a 20 Blade Geist or something. Very cool. And then Tome of the Undead Law, this unit has Wizard 1, which is kind of nice if you end up in a position where you have lost your Wizard. You're going to use your Wizard maybe to pop the pretty good Unlimited spell, or if you are just trying to put a manifestation out there. What's nice about this, though, is you have so much utility of choice, which is quite rare in Age of Sigmar 4. This is actually a really rare war scroll in that it says every turn you can try to help your army out as like a nexus of power to do different things. They're all situational. If it was each one of these, if each one of these was just like, if there was only one instance of these, it would be a bit sucky. But because you can choose, I think that's actually very cool. And then lastly, you've got another ability, which is the main reason I think maybe you'll play the Black Coach. Once per turn across the army in any hero phase, you can play 1 stop, no return. Pick an objective you do not control to be the target. For the rest of the turn, while enemy units are contesting the target objective, they cannot score critical hits while this unit is also contesting it. Hit rolls that would be critical hits score instead. This is huge. Turning off crit hits is some of the scariest hammer units in the game is very, very good. So big bruiser units, a chosen or an obvious example. Also, because this is in any hero phase, this does mean every hero phase. It means if they're going to charge you, then you can make it so you turn off their crit hits. In your turn, you can turn off their crit hits as you're going to charge them. Really, really powerful. Really good. Very strong. Board wide. No dice roll. I mean, it's wild looking at this. Other abilities in the game are like on a 3+ or a 4+ do very little. This just being auto choose. It feels almost like a faction ability. It's that strong and it's locked on this model. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see the pick rate for black coaches go up absolutely massively. So very good. And that's it for the Nighthaunt rules. You've got 2 great new war scrolls. You've got a way to make a funny choppy blender lord, as well as being able to move your faction terrain around. And also debuff the enemy. So, yeah, like there's a lot here to unpack as Nighthaunt. I think you'll see black coaches just immediately hitting the table. Well, probably not, because they've always been a massive hobby project and they're hard to get on the table. But it's nice to see finally the black coach really taking center stage in a Nighthaunt list that really does struggle to have a centerpiece model outside of Nagash. I know Lady Alinda's there, but I've always felt like the black coach should feel almost like, you know, a bit like a Skaven. Not that the Skaven, a Screaming Bell, or the Plague Furnace are like a core element of a Skaven army, but it does feel like having them in there should feel that way, and the black coach would feel the same as well. So pretty cool, pretty cool. So I love that. Very fun. Excited to find out like the full rules for the Nighthaunt faction terrain as well, which I'm sure will go out sometime this week. We're not sure right now. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed my videos. Please do leave some comments. I'm making a video about every single one of these releases, as well as some additional videos when I can find some time about how it's going to change some armies. When the battle tactics come out, the GHB, I'll be covering every single bit of it here. Live streaming on Twitch, as you can see, with all these fine folk. So you can check that out, or you can watch me on YouTube. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.